Hey guys, what's up? It's Josh with the Pickleball Lab. And today we're going to be talking about the #1 mistake I see beginners make in pickleball. I see this happen all the time at the beginner level. And if you fix this, you're going to immediately level up and start winning a lot more games. So with that, let's jump in the lab. So the #1 mistake I see beginners making is staying back and playing pickleball away from the net. I see this happen all the time. And the reason playing away from the net is so common makes a lot of sense and is because of a few different reasons. For one, people relate pickleball to tennis a lot, and playing away from the net is a major tenet in tennis and is typically what happens, especially in singles. And for another, people stay back because they want more time to react to a ball. They are also sometimes nervous to be that close to the opponent when a ball is flying at them, and all of these are completely understandable. However, this isn't the right strategy. The reason tennis plays away from the net is because of how long and wide the court is, and also because the most popular form of tennis is singles. In singles, you have to stay back away from the net because you need time to react to the ball because of how much court there is for you to cover. However, in pickleball, this isn't the case. The pickleball court is much smaller than a tennis court. And not only that, we typically play doubles in pickleball. So not only is the pickleball court smaller, but it's even smaller than that because you have a partner covering half of the court, leaving you to cover just your half. What this ultimately means is there's only a small amount of space you need to cover in pickleball, which nullifies the strategy of staying back away from the net like we might do in tennis. So if we don't need to stay back away from the net, what do we want to do instead? It's time to level up our strategy. The key to leveling up our pickleball strategy lies in the universal truth that the closer you are to your target, the more likely you are to hit that target. Let's look at this principle in effect with other sports. Think of sports like archery. Do they shoot their target from close up? No. In competition, they are made to shoot from great distances because shooting close is too easy. The closer you are, the easier it is to hit your target. Let's also look at a sport like basketball. In basketball, you get 3 points from shooting really far away from the basket, aka three-point line. You're given 3 points because the ability to hit a shot from that distance is very difficult, versus something like a layup, which is right at the basket, and therefore only awards 2 points because it's too close and therefore too easy. So, as you can see, in sports, the closer you are to your target, the more likely you are to hit that target. In pickleball, how do we take advantage of this universal principle? Well, pickleball isn't archery, so no one is making us hit the ball from way in the back of the court. We can get as close as we want to an extent. And pickleball also isn't basketball. We don't get more points in pickleball for winning from the baseline. You get the same amount of points whether you win from the baseline or at the net. So, taking all of that into account, what should we do? In pickleball, there's nothing stopping us from moving up as close to our target as possible, which is absolutely the right strategy. And what is our target? Our target is the net and getting the ball over it. As a result, in pickleball, the ultimate strategy is actually not to play away from the net, but to instead play as close to the net as possible. When we're close to the net, this gives us the best chance of being able to get the ball over the net. And simply put, the more balls you get over the net, the more points you win. Not only because you're hitting balls past people for winners, of course, but you're also giving your opponents more opportunities to lose the point by hitting the ball in the net or out of bounds.
Quick interruption, come check out the lab. We have online courses, community, and direct coaching with me. We even have a beginner pickleball course designed to help you. While everyone else in your group stays a beginner, you'll be improving every single week and quickly becoming the best player in your group. QR code here, and link in the description. Now, back to the video.
In fact, as a beginner, one of the best secret tips I can give you is to just get the ball back over the net. Just keep giving your opponents more opportunities to make mistakes. You'll win a lot of points and therefore games this way. With all of that being said, playing as close to the net as possible is the #1 strategy in pickleball. And in fact, is actually the strategy you'll see the pros employ 100% of the time. Notice how the pros don't stay back at the baseline. They try to move up. In fact, At the pro level, they will only win the point 5% of the time if they play back away from the net, such as at the baseline. That percentage jumps from 5% to 50%, however, if they can get as close to the net as possible. The pros know they can't play from the back of the court, and the further they play away from the net, the more likely they are to lose. And actually, you can look at it like this. For every few feet you get closer to the net, your chance of getting the ball over the net increases by maybe 10%. So the closer you can progressively get, the better off you're going to be. And this is what we have to do if we want to win pickleball games. Now the question becomes, just how close to the net should we get? Notice where the pros move up to, right to the kitchen line. The kitchen line is as close as we can get to the net while being strategically smart. If you've been playing pickleball for a bit now, you'll know about the kitchen and the kitchen rules. And you'll know, strategically speaking, you shouldn't play inside the kitchen. You should play just behind the kitchen line, about 3 inches off of it. This means our goal is getting to the kitchen line as soon as possible and playing from there. Only going inside the kitchen to get a dink, of course, and then getting right back out behind the kitchen line. So, as a quick recap, we do not want to play away from the net in pickleball. We want to get as close to our target, the net, as possible. And that means getting to the kitchen line. Now that we know our ultimate goal is to get to the kitchen line, the next question is, how do we get there? This can be a tricky question because not only does both the serve side and the return side get to the kitchen line differently, but the serve side is at a massive disadvantage here. But before we get to that, let's address how the return side gets to the kitchen line first. There are 2 members of the return team, and they both get to the kitchen line differently. There's the actual returner, the one who's going to hit the return after the serve, and then the non-returner, the one who doesn't hit the return. The non-returner actually doesn't have to worry about getting to the kitchen line. They should just always start at the kitchen line. We'll talk more about this in a minute. The actual returner gets to the kitchen line by hitting their return and immediately running to the kitchen. This is called return and run. A quick secret tip here is that when you hit your return, do not stop for anything until you make it to that kitchen line. Even if you have to hit the ball on the run, do not stop. Get to that kitchen line after you hit the return. Return and run is actually an incredibly important concept in pickleball. You can win a lot of points on this concept alone. And we're coming out with a video soon more in depth on return and run. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to be notified when that comes out. But for now, that is how both members of the return team end up at the kitchen line. Now, let's talk about the serve side. How the serve side gets to the kitchen is somewhat complicated. And honestly, it's the main component of pickleball and what sets pickleball apart from other sports. This concept is technically called transition. And we talk about transition way more in depth in this video on the 4 phases of pickleball and this video on transition. But suffice to say, in order to get to the kitchen line, the serve team is going to wait on the return and then hit a combination of shots, like drive shots and drop shots, to get to the kitchen line with the return team trying to keep them back. I will give you another quick secret tip about getting to the kitchen line as the serve team. Do not hit the shot after the return and run right up to the kitchen line. I would hate for you to watch this video and start doing that. You will lose a lot of points this way. You have to be strategic about how you get to the kitchen as the serve team. That's how each team gets to the kitchen line. For the return team, getting to the kitchen is very simple. One person starts there and then the returner hits their return and runs to the kitchen line immediately. For the serve team, they have to wait on the return and then strategically work their way up to the kitchen line. Now, you might be asking, if the goal is to get to the kitchen line, why doesn't each player just start there? For example, why doesn't the returner just start at the kitchen? Or why doesn't the serve team serve and then run right up to the kitchen? That's a great question. And the answer is that the 2-bounce rule prevents this. The 2-bounce rule states that the first 2 shots of a rally must bounce before they are hit. So the serve, aka the first shot, must be allowed to bounce before it can be hit, and then the return, the second shot, must also be allowed to bounce before it can be hit. If the returner started at the kitchen, when the serve is hit, they would have to hit the ball before it bounces, which would be a fault. because of the 2-bounce rule, and the return team would then lose the point. So the returner must stay back and allow the ball to bounce before they hit it. Then they can move up. What about the serve team? They must also allow the return to bounce. If they were to serve and run up after the serve, they would suffer from the same issue as the return team. If they hit the ball before it bounces, it's a fault. The serve team must stay back and allow the return to bounce before they hit their next ball. Then they can start to move up as well. And we said we would address the non-returner on the return team earlier in the video. Why are they the only player allowed to start at the kitchen? Because they are the only player not involved in the 2-bounce rule. The serve must be allowed to bounce before it is hit, but the non-returner doesn't hit that ball. The returner does. The serve team must also allow the return to bounce, but the non-returner is not on the serve team. The non-returner is the only player not involved in the 2-bounce rule. So, strategically speaking, they should start in the best position possible because they can. And where is the best position possible? We've talked about it. That's right, the kitchen line. And that's why the non-returner on the return team always starts at the kitchen line. They are the only player that can do this, with the other 3 players needing to start near the baseline because of that 2-bounce rule. And that's it, guys. Remember, the closer you are to your target, the more likely you are to hit your target. Do not play pickleball away from the net. You will lose this way. Your goal should always be to move up. Your goal is to get to the kitchen line and hit your balls from there to give yourself the best chance to get balls over the net, which means hitting more winners and getting your opponents to hit more shots in the net or out of bounds. Getting to the kitchen line. This is the main strategy of pickleball. I hope this video helped you guys out. Make sure to send this video to that one person you're thinking of right now that you know plays away from the net. They're going to be thanking you when they start playing closer to the net and start winning more games. And as usual, make sure you subscribe to the channel to get notified when more videos come out from us. Give this one a like if you found it helpful. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and be sure to join our email list for even more exclusive updates. Now, what are you waiting for? Get out there and use this concept to start piling up more wins. The more likely you are to hit that target. Eyebrow check. Ball break. And we got a dump truck over here or something, and then we got this fire truck, and it's just a lot going on. So they're all like relatively loud. All right, here we go. Let's do it. Jeez, man.